Imagine holding a piece of history that could be worth far more than its face value. Picture a small copper coin, nearly 80 years old, yet carrying a story of war, innovation, and rarity that has fascinated collectors for decades. This is not just any penny. Today, we're exploring the 1944 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that has become a legend in the world of numismatics. The 1944 Lincoln penny, also known as the 1944 wheat cent, is part of the long-running series of pennies featuring Abraham Lincoln. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Lincoln cent became an American staple, a coin that passed through countless hands in daily transactions. But the 1944 issue stands apart from the millions of other pennies minted during that era. To understand why, we need to look back at the year 1944. The world was in the midst of World War II. The United States was heavily involved in the war effort, and materials like copper were being redirected for military use. During the war years, particularly from 1942 to 1945, the composition of pennies changed in response to this shortage. In 1943, pennies were made of steel coated with zinc, a drastic shift from the traditional copper. This steel penny became iconic for its silver-gray color. By 1944, however, the U.S. Mint had returned to producing pennies primarily from copper, but this time using recycled shell casings from the war, blending necessity with symbolism. The 1944 Lincoln penny with no mint mark was primarily minted at the Philadelphia Mint. In general, pennies from Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark, while coins from Denver and San Francisco did. The absence of a mint mark is simple but important. It tells collectors where the coin was produced. What makes the 1944 penny fascinating is that millions were made, yet some have survived in near-perfect condition, and a few display unique anomalies that make them highly sought after. Physically, the 1944 penny features the classic Lincoln design. Abraham Lincoln's portrait graces the obverse, looking forward with a solemn dignity. The word liberty appears to his left, and the date, 1944, is stamped to the right. The reverse carries the familiar wheat ears, symbolizing prosperity and growth, and the words 1 cent and United States of America proudly displayed. But beyond its design, the composition is what sets this coin apart. Unlike earlier pennies made entirely of copper, the 1944 penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This subtle difference affects the coin's color and weight, and it also contributes to the identification of rare errors that occasionally appear. Errors are a key reason collectors treasure this coin. Some 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on 1943 steel planchets, resulting in copper pennies with a gray, metallic appearance. These mistakes, known as the 1944 over 1943 errors, are incredibly rare and can command astronomical prices at auction. Even without errors, well-preserved 1944 pennies are valuable because few coins survive the decades in uncirculated condition. Many were lost, worn, or damaged through everyday use, making mint condition examples a collector's dream. In terms of value, the 1944 Lincoln penny ranges widely depending on condition and rarity. A circulated 1944 penny with no mint mark might only fetch a few dollars in a coin shop. However, uncirculated coins in pristine condition, graded by professional organizations like PCGS or NGC, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The over 1943 era coins have sold at auctions for tens of thousands, sometimes exceeding $100,000, making them some of the most coveted Lincoln pennies in history. These real-life sales illustrate just how much demand exists for rare coins that carry a story beyond their monetary worth. For anyone hoping to identify a genuine 1944 penny, there are several things to look for. Authentic coins will show the classic copper color with the correct weight, approximately 3.11 grams. The absence of a mint mark indicates Philadelphia, while any unusual color or texture might suggest an error coin or a reproduction. Careful examination of the date, the detail in Lincoln's bust, and the clarity of the wheat ears on the reverse are all important factors. Fake or altered coins often have inconsistencies in these areas, so consulting with a trusted coin dealer or submitting the coin for professional grading is always a wise step. Beyond its financial and historical value, the 1944 penny holds fascinating surprises. Did you know that during the war years, every penny minted carried a connection to the soldiers fighting overseas? The copper came from recycled shell casings, meaning that the coin in your pocket might literally have the same metal as the ammunition used on the battlefields of World War II. This link between everyday currency and global history adds an emotional depth to collecting, turning a small coin into a tangible piece of the past. Collectors are drawn to the 1944 Lincoln penny not just for its material value, but for the stories it carries. Each coin is a snapshot of a turbulent period in American history, a reminder of ingenuity and resilience. The thrill of finding a well-preserved penny, or even discovering a rare error, fuels the passion of collectors who carefully search through rolls of coins, garage sales, and estate collections. Owning a 1944 penny is like holding a miniature artifact, a piece of history that connects the past to the present. Even today, the 1944 Lincoln penny continues to captivate the numismatic world. Its combination of historical significance, wartime symbolism, and rarity makes it an enduring favorite among collectors of all ages. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or a casual hobbyist, this penny offers a unique window into American history and the fascinating world of coin collecting. So the next time you come across an old penny, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history with a story far richer than its 1 cent face value. Could it be a 1944 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? Or perhaps an even rarer error coin that could change the course of a collector's fortune? The possibilities are as small as the coin itself, yet as vast as the history it represents. Every scratch, every shine, every detail carries a legacy waiting to be discovered, and for those who seek it, the journey is as rewarding as the coin itself. A single penny, minted in a Philadelphia facility over 75 years ago, is more than just currency. It is a connection to a world at war, to the ingenuity of the U.S. Mint, and to the stories of the countless hands it has passed through. The 1944 Lincoln penny with no mint mark reminds us that sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest significance. History, rarity, and the thrill of discovery, all captured in one tiny copper circle. The next time you hear a coin jingle in your pocket, you might just wonder, could this ordinary penny hold an extraordinary story? Imagine holding a single penny in your hand and realizing it could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. That's the story of the 1951 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters across the country. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary penny, the same small copper disc you find in your pocket, but for those who know its history, it represents a rare opportunity to own a piece of American numismatic history. The 1951 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth. By 1951, the Lincoln penny had already been minted for over 4 decades, a familiar and everyday coin for most Americans. But among the millions of pennies struck that year, some were made without a mint mark. This detail might seem small, but it has made all the difference for collectors today. So what exactly is a 1951 no mint mark Lincoln penny? The no mint mark designation simply means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on its coins. In 1951, pennies were also minted in Denver and San Francisco, both of which carried the D and S mint marks, respectively. Because the Philadelphia coins had no mark, identifying them is straightforward, but their value comes from factors beyond just the mint location. The history of the 1951 penny is tied closely to the post-World War II era in America. The economy was booming, suburban life was expanding, and coins like this were part of everyday commerce. That year, millions of pennies circulated for purchases, from a loaf of bread to a newspaper. But despite their common use, the 1951 no-mint mark pennies were struck with care and precision. The Philadelphia Mint had a reputation for producing coins with consistent quality, which is one reason why well-preserved examples are so sought after today. From a design perspective, the 1951 penny carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, facing right, with the words "In God We Trust" above and the date below. The reverse features the wheat ears design, with 1 cent in the center and United States of America beneath. This design, used from 1909 to 1958, is beloved by collectors for its simplicity and historical significance. Unlike modern coins, the wheat stalks on the back of the penny add a touch of elegance and a connection to the country's agricultural heritage. The metal composition of the 1951 penny is also noteworthy. At that time, Lincoln cents were made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This gives the coin a rich, warm color and a satisfying weight that modern copper-plated steel pennies simply do not have. Coins that have retained their original luster over the decades, with minimal wear, are especially valuable to collectors. So why is the 1951 no-mint mark penny considered rare or valuable? The rarity is partly due to the survival rate. While millions were minted, many were lost, damaged, or heavily circulated. Coins in high grades, especially those graded uncirculated, are surprisingly scarce. Additionally, some coins exhibit unique characteristics or minor errors, such as doubled dies or slight variations in strike, which further increase their value. Collectors are always on the lookout for these anomalies because even a small imperfection can make a coin exceptionally desirable. Real-world auction results show the potential of the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Common circulated examples might sell for a few dollars, but uncirculated coins with strong luster and sharp details can command hundreds of dollars. For example, a 1951 penny graded M/65, which is a high uncirculated grade, recently sold at auction for several $100s. Coins with even higher grades or unique errors have reached prices approaching $1,000 or more. These numbers highlight how a coin that once passed quietly from hand to hand can suddenly become a prized collectible. Identifying a genuine 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is essential for anyone interested in buying or selling one. Authentic coins will show the correct weight, diameter, and design details. The date should be clearly visible, and the wheat stalks on the reverse should be well defined. Fake coins are rare, but they do exist, often created to mimic high-grade examples. Using a magnifying glass to check for fine details, comparing the coin to verified references, and when possible, having it professionally graded can protect collectors from mistakes. Beyond the technical details, there are some fun and surprising aspects of the 1951 penny. For one, the coin has quietly witnessed history. It traveled through the pockets of Americans during the early years of television, the Korean War, and the post-war economic expansion. Imagine the stories it could tell if coins could speak. Another interesting detail is the subtle variations in color and toning that develop over decades. Some pennies develop a deep, reddish-brown patina, while others may appear almost golden, making each coin unique in its appearance. Collectors love the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny not just for its monetary value, but for the connection it provides to the past. Owning a coin like this is like holding a piece of history in your hand, a tangible reminder of the world as it was more than 70 years ago. It represents both an investment and a story, a small object with immense sentimental and historical significance. The wheatback design, the copper composition, and the careful craftsmanship all combine to create a coin that is both beautiful and meaningful. In conclusion, the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is much more than a simple piece of copper. Its value comes from its rarity, its history, and the stories it carries from the mid-20th century. From its origin at the Philadelphia Mint to the hands of modern collectors, this penny has traveled through time, gaining both charm and worth. For anyone lucky enough to own one, it is a reminder that even the smallest things can hold extraordinary significance. Next time you pick up a penny, take a closer look. You might be holding more than just change. You could be holding a treasure. The story of the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny leaves us with one intriguing question. Among the millions of pennies minted that year, which one survived in perfect condition, waiting to be discovered by collectors who appreciate their hidden value? It's a reminder that history is all around us, sometimes tucked quietly into our pocket. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that could be worth thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars, yet looks like any ordinary penny you've seen in your change. A coin so famous that collectors all over the world search tirelessly for it. Today, we're diving into the story of the 1955 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, a coin that has fascinated numismatists for decades and continues to spark excitement whenever it appears in a collection. The 1955 Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. On its surface, it seems simple enough. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a humble 1-cent denomination. But for those who know what to look for, this coin holds a secret. The year 1955 was not remarkable for the economy, the country, or even Lincoln coinage in general. But it became unforgettable in the world of rare coins due to a series of mistakes at the mint that created some of the most sought-after pennies ever produced. To understand why the 1955 penny is so special, we need to step back to the mid-1950s. Post-war America was thriving, and the United States Mint in Philadelphia was producing millions of coins to meet demand. The Lincoln cent had been in circulation for over 70 years by then, first issued in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Its design was familiar to everyone. Lincoln's bust on the obverse, a symbol of unity and freedom, and originally 2 wheat ears on the reverse, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in 1959. But in 1955, all pennies still bore the wheat design, making the 1955 coin one of the last of this classic series. The 1955 Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper, with the remaining 5% consisting of tin and zinc. Its warm, reddish tone is instantly recognizable, and in circulated condition, it carries a soft, worn patina that collectors love. The design itself is simple yet elegant. Lincoln's portrait was sculpted by Victor David Brenner, one of the most famous engravers of the early 20th century, and the inscriptions in God We Trust, Liberty, and the year 1955 are stamped with precision. For years, these pennies were ordinary currency, passed from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, never considered particularly valuable. What makes the 1955 Lincoln penny truly exceptional is not its design, but a rare and dramatic minting error. In 1955, an unprecedented doubling occurred on some pennies. The date 1955 and the word liberty were struck twice, creating what numismatists call a 1955 double-die penny. This doubling is so pronounced that it appears as though someone took a pen and outlined the numbers and letters twice. It is not subtle, it is eye-popping, and it immediately transformed a common penny into a numismatic treasure. These double-die pennies were not intentional. They were the result of a misalignment during the die creation process at the Philadelphia Mint. Only a few thousand of these pennies were ever produced, and far fewer survived in good condition. Collectors quickly realized that the 1955 double-die penny was rare, and demand skyrocketed. Even today, this coin can sell for tens of thousands of dollars depending on its condition. In circulated condition, a double-die 1955 penny might fetch a few $1,000s, but in mint condition, uncirculated examples have been known to sell at auction for over $100,000. One of the most famous examples, graded M. Sminnis 66 by Professional Coin Grading Services, sold for nearly $200,000 in the early 2000s. The rarity, combined with the striking visual effect, makes this coin one of the most famous error coins in American history. Identifying a real 1955 double-die penny requires careful observation. The doubling is most visible on the date and the word Liberty. The numbers 1, 9, 5, and 5 each appear to have been stamped twice, slightly offset from one another. The letters in Liberty show the same doubling. It is not the kind of doubling that occurs from normal die wear or circulation. It is bold, crisp, and unmistakable once you know what to look for. A genuine 1955 double-die penny should have this dramatic doubling without other signs of tampering or alterations. Counterfeit versions do exist, often created by adding lines or scratches to mimic the doubling, so professional authentication is strongly recommended before any purchase or sale. Even for those who do not own a double-die example, the 1955 penny holds fascination because of its history and context. It was a penny circulated in an era of rock and roll, in post-war prosperity, and through everyday American life. It passed through countless hands, survived pockets and piggy banks, yet a few rare ones emerged to captivate the collecting world. The very idea that something so ordinary could suddenly become extraordinarily valuable adds to the coin's allure. Collectors also love the 1955 penny, because it represents a tangible connection to history. Lincoln himself has been an enduring figure on American currency for over a century, symbolizing leadership, integrity, and unity. Holding a 1955 penny, especially a rare double die, is like holding a small piece of history, a coin that witnessed decades of American life. It reminds collectors of the human element in minting, the errors that make certain coins unique, and the stories behind every scratch, dent, and patina. Beyond the famous double die, there are other interesting aspects of the 1955 penny. Many pennies from this year are found in brilliant red condition, especially those preserved in coin rolls shortly after minting. These uncirculated examples can still exhibit the copper's natural luster, making them visually striking. Additionally, 1955 pennies sometimes show subtle variations in strike strength, minor die cracks, or slight misalignments, all small quirks that numismatists find fascinating. Each penny carries its own story, from the moment it left the mint to the day it enters a collector's hands. Fun facts about the 1955 Lincoln penny add to its mystique. For example, the double die error was discovered decades after minting, meaning that ordinary people could have unknowingly spent thousands of dollars in coins during the 1950s and 1960s. Imagine buying a soda or a pack of gum with a coin that would one day be a rare collector's item. The excitement of discovering such a coin in your own collection is a story many collectors recount with glee. Today, the 1955 penny continues to captivate collectors of all levels. It is not just a coin. It is a symbol of possibility, of hidden treasure, and of the unexpected ways history can leave its mark on everyday objects. For seasoned collectors, it represents one of the pinnacles of the Lincoln Cent series. For newcomers, it is a fascinating entry point into the world of coin collecting, a reminder that even the smallest pieces of metal can carry immense value. The 1955 penny is also a teaching tool, showing the importance of careful observation, patience, and the joy of discovering the extraordinary within the ordinary. In the end, the 1955 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, stands as a testament to the enduring fascination of coins. It is a coin that can turn a casual collector into a passionate numismatist, a coin that transforms history into something tangible and exciting. Whether you are lucky enough to own a double die example or simply admire it from afar, the 1955 penny tells a story that goes beyond its copper composition. It is a story of mistakes that became miracles, of ordinary objects that became treasures, and of history that lives on in the palm of your hand. So the next time you reach into your pocket or empty a jar of pennies, take a closer look. Somewhere among the coins, perhaps tucked away unnoticed, there might be a 1955 penny waiting to tell its incredible story. Could it be ordinary or could it be extraordinary? The answer could change everything. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand, a coin so ordinary that most people pass it by every day, yet so special that collectors search for it like treasure. That coin is the 1960 D Lincoln penny, a small copper masterpiece with a story that stretches back over 6 decades. Today, we're diving deep into its history, its unique features, and why, even now, it continues to captivate coin enthusiasts across the country. If you thought pennies were just spare change, you're about to think again. The 1960 D Lincoln penny is a 1-cent coin minted in Denver, as indicated by the small d below the date. It features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that has adorned American pennies since 1909. On the reverse, it carries the wheat ears, symbolizing prosperity and the nation's agricultural roots. But what makes this particular penny more than just a coin in your pocket is the story it carries and the subtle details that collectors look for. Let's start with the history. The year 1960 was a period of transition and growth in America. Dwight D. Eisenhower was finishing his second term as president. The country was on the brink of a cultural revolution, and the U.S. Mint was producing coins to meet the needs of a booming population. The Lincoln cent, already in circulation for over 50 years, continued to be a staple of American currency. In Denver, the Mint produced millions of pennies, but some of those coins would later stand out for their rarity and unique characteristics. The 1960 D Lincoln penny is primarily made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition that would remain standard until the copper shortages of the 1980s. This gives the coin its distinctive reddish-brown color, which can vary depending on how it has aged or been preserved. Its design is simple yet iconic. The obverse shows Lincoln's profile, looking forward with a solemn, thoughtful expression. The words "In God we trust" arch above his head. Liberty is stamped to the left, and the year and mint mark sit neatly to the right. On the reverse, the twin wheat stalks frame the words "1 cent" and "United States of America," creating a balanced and elegant composition. But what truly sets some 1960 D pennies apart is the presence of the famous 1960 double die variety. On these coins, certain details, especially the date, appear doubled due to a minting error during the die creation process. This doubling can be subtle or pronounced, and it's what makes certain examples highly sought after by collectors. These errors are not just quirks, they are evidence of the coin's journey through history, frozen in metal for over 60 years. So why is the 1960 D penny considered rare or valuable? While millions were minted, most circulated heavily and suffered wear over time, making well-preserved specimens increasingly scarce. Coins in mint condition, especially those with the double die error, are particularly prized. Collectors look for sharp details in Lincoln's features, strong lettering, and the reddish luster that signals a coin has been carefully preserved. The rarity is not just about the numbers produced. It's about how many coins survived decades without significant damage. To put that value into perspective, a standard 1960 D Lincoln penny in average circulated condition might be worth only a few cents above face value. But a coin with the double die error, or one in exceptional uncirculated condition, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. For example, a 1960D double-die penny in high grade sold for nearly $1,500 in a recent collector sale. These numbers illustrate why even a small, seemingly insignificant penny can become a prized possession. Identifying a real 1960D Lincoln penny, especially one with the double die, requires careful observation. Start by examining the date and lettering closely. Look for any signs of doubling, particularly around the digits in the year or the word Liberty. Check the coin's edges and overall condition. Counterfeit coins do exist, but authentic examples have specific weight, dimensions, and metallic composition that experts can verify. When in doubt, consulting a professional coin grader or using a magnifying glass to inspect the coin can help ensure you're looking at a genuine piece. There are also surprising fun facts about this coin. Did you know that the Lincoln cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure? Abraham Lincoln was chosen to commemorate his 100th birthday in 1909, and since then, his profile has become instantly recognizable. Another intriguing detail is the subtle variations between pennies minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with slight differences in die and strike quality that collectors can spot. The 1960D penny, minted in Denver, often shows a slightly sharper strike than some of its counterparts. Collectors today love the 1960D Lincoln penny not just for its rarity, but for the stories it represents. Each coin carries the imprint of American history, from the post-war era to the swinging 60s. Holding a well-preserved penny can feel like holding a small, tangible piece of the past, connecting us to the everyday lives of people who used these coins decades ago. It's a reminder that even ordinary objects can have extraordinary significance when we pay attention to the details. If you've ever wondered about the value of pennies in your collection, the 1960D Lincoln cent is a perfect example of why it pays to look closely. What seems like a simple coin can hide a fascinating story, a rare error, or even a life-changing value for the right collector. And while not every 1960D penny is worth hundreds or thousands, the possibility that one in your collection could be makes the hunt exciting. In the end, the 1960D Lincoln penny is more than just copper and metal. It's history you can hold, a collectible that tells a story, and a tiny treasure that continues to captivate the imaginations of coin enthusiasts. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's simply curious, examining this coin offers a glimpse into America's past, the artistry of minting, and the thrill of discovering something rare. Next time you come across a small, copper Lincoln cent, take a closer look. You never know, hidden in the detail of that little coin might be a story waiting to be told, a subtle error that could make it valuable, or a link to history you can hold in your hand. The 1960D Lincoln penny reminds us that even the most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary secrets. So keep searching, keep examining, and remember, history often comes in small, copper packages. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people passed by without a second glance, yet this tiny piece of metal could be worth a fortune. One penny, minted in 1976, might hold the secret to unlocking thousands of dollars if you know what to look for. What makes this ordinary-looking coin so extraordinary, and why are collectors across the country hunting for it? Today, we're diving into the story of the 1976 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that at first glance seems simple, but hides a fascinating history and rare value. The 1976 Lincoln penny is part of a series that has captured the attention of coin collectors for over a century. Officially called the Lincoln cent, this coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, or obverse, which has appeared on U.S. pennies since 1909. The back, or reverse, traditionally displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. But what sets the 1976 version apart is more than its design. It's about scarcity, minting practices, and the stories behind the errors that make certain coins exceptionally valuable. In 1976, the United States was celebrating its bicentennial. The country was filled with patriotic energy, commemorative items were everywhere, and the minting of coins was no exception. While special bicentennial quarters, half dollars and dollars were released with the dual date of 1776-1976, the penny largely stayed the same. Most Lincoln cents were minted with the standard 1976 date. However, some pennies, especially those produced in Philadelphia, came out without a mint mark. The absence of a mint mark on a Philadelphia coin was normal for most years. But the way some of these coins were produced in 1976 led to a subtle rarity that collectors now find fascinating. The 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny is made primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc. This was standard for pennies minted before 1982, before the switch to mostly zinc cores with a thin copper plating. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln in profile, a design by Victor David Brenner that has become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial in great detail, with tiny figures visible within the memorial columns if examined closely. But collectors don't just look at the imagery. They examine the details of the coin's strike, the spacing of the letters, the sharpness of the date, and even the way the metal flows around the edges. What makes the 1976 no mint mark penny particularly interesting is its rarity in higher grade conditions. While millions were produced, most circulated heavily, showing wear and tear that reduces their collectible value. A coin in uncirculated condition, with a strong, clear strike and minimal blemishes, can fetch significantly higher prices. Some coins even exhibit minting errors, off-center strikes, doubled dies, or slight variations in the lettering that are extremely sought after by collectors. These imperfections make each coin unique, adding an extra layer of intrigue to an already historic piece. Collectors value this coin for several reasons. First, the 1976 Lincoln penny represents a year of national significance, the bicentennial, which always adds a level of interest. Second, coins without mint marks from Philadelphia can be harder to find in pristine condition. And finally, any minting errors or unusual features dramatically increase the coin's worth. In fact, some rare examples of 1976 pennies have sold at auction for hundreds of dollars, far beyond their original 1-cent face value. These coins are not just currency. They are small pieces of history that carry both cultural and financial significance. Real-life examples of auction results illustrate just how valuable a 1976 no-mint mark penny can be. In high-grade uncirculated condition, known as MS65 or higher by coin grading standards, some of these coins have sold for well over $200. Coins with notable errors or exceptional eye appeal can command even higher prices. For instance, a 1976 penny with a slight doubling of the date or letters might sell for several $100s to a dedicated collector, while a perfectly struck, flawless coin can bring $500 or more in certain cases. These numbers may seem astonishing for a coin that started as a 1-cent piece, but rarity, condition, and historical context drive the market in surprising ways. Identifying a genuine 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny is straightforward if you know what to look for, but it does require careful observation. First, check the date. 1976 should be clearly visible on the obverse side. Look for the absence of a mint mark, which is usually located just below the date. Examine the coin's surface for signs of wear, scratches, or cleaning, which can affect its value. Uncirculated coins will have a smooth, lustrous finish, while circulated coins will show dulling and marks from everyday use. For coins with potential errors, pay close attention to the lettering, the shape of the digits in the date, and the alignment of the design. Collectors often use magnification to spot subtle details that can indicate authenticity and rarity. Beyond its financial value, the 1976 no mint mark penny has fascinating details that make it fun to explore. For example, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse contains a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside, a detail that is easy to miss with the naked eye. The coin's copper composition gives it a distinctive reddish-brown color, which can develop a deep patina over time if properly cared for. Some coins also show faint die cracks or variations in the metal flow, which occurred during the minting process. These quirks make each coin slightly different from the next, turning a simple penny into a miniature piece of art and history. Collectors love this coin today not only for its potential monetary value, but also for its connection to a significant moment in American history. The bicentennial era marked a time of reflection on the nation's founding, and coins from this period carry that story forward. For those who appreciate the meticulous craftsmanship of coin minting, the subtle variations and the history embedded in each piece offer endless fascination. Owning a 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny is like holding a small piece of the past in your hand, a tangible reminder of the events and people that shaped the country. As you search through your coin collection, or even change in your pocket, remember that something as ordinary as a penny can hide extraordinary value. The 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that history is often found in the smallest details. A single coin, overlooked for decades, can suddenly capture the attention of collectors and historians alike. So the next time you glance at a worn penny, take a closer look. You never know what stories it might tell or the fortune it might hold. History and treasure can be hiding in the most unexpected places, and for one lucky owner, a 1976 penny could be the key to discovering both. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that most people pass by without a second thought, yet it hides a story worth far more than its face value. One small copper disc, minted in 1978, could hold a secret that only the keenest collectors know. This is not just any penny. It is the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly captured the attention of coin enthusiasts and history buffs alike. Today, we're diving deep into the story of this penny, exploring why it matters, and uncovering the fascinating details that make it a treasure in the world of American coinage. The 1978 Lincoln penny, part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, is a 1-cent coin struck by the United States Mint. Unlike its common cousins that carry a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, this particular coin was minted in Philadelphia, which at the time did not use a mint mark. On the front, you'll find the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, gazing forward with the solemn dignity that has graced pennies since 1909. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in place for nearly 30 years. Though it looks ordinary at first glance, collectors know that this small copper coin can hide rare surprises. The history of the 1978 penny is tied to the broader story of the Lincoln cent. By 1978, the United States Mint was producing millions of pennies each year, ensuring that small change could circulate freely across the nation. The Lincoln penny itself was originally introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a president. By the late 1970s, the design had been modernized in minor ways but had largely remained faithful to the original concept. The coin was struck primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, and in 1978, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark, making those coins slightly less immediately identifiable than their counterparts. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1978 no mint mark penny is its composition. It was made almost entirely of copper, with 95% copper and 5% zinc. This makes it one of the last decades where pennies were largely copper before the shift to zinc-plated steel in later years. The weight and color of these coins give them a distinctive feel compared to modern pennies, which are lighter and paler in tone. The design itself is classic, with Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but even small variations in strike quality, color, or wear can make a difference for collectors. What makes this coin particularly intriguing to collectors is that, while not officially a rare minting, there are certain variations and errors that can dramatically increase its value. For example, some 1978 no-mint mark pennies show doubled die characteristics, where the image appears slightly doubled, particularly on the date or lettering. Others may exhibit die cracks, slight off-center strikes, or variations in the metal composition that make them unique. Even among coins that look ordinary at first glance, collectors look for subtle differences that can transform a simple penny into a sought-after collectible. Despite its relatively high production numbers, the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has appeared in collector auctions for surprising amounts. A circulated coin in average condition might only be worth a few cents above face value, but those in pristine uncirculated condition, especially with a strong copper tone and sharp details, can sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars. Coins that feature minor errors, like doubled dies or small die cracks, have been documented to fetch several $100s at auction. One notable example involved a coin graded M-65, which is near the top of the scale for uncirculated coins. This particular coin sold for nearly $300, a striking return for a coin that most people keep in their change jars. These values show that even coins from seemingly ordinary years can hold surprises for those willing to look closely. Identifying a genuine 1978 no-mint mark penny is mostly straightforward, but vigilance is necessary. Authentic coins will have the precise dimensions, weight, and copper hue of the original minting. A real coin should weigh about 3.11 grams and measure 19.05 millimeters in diameter. Look closely at Lincoln's profile and the details of the memorial. These should be crisp and well-defined. Counterfeit coins often have slight distortions, incorrect color, or softer details. Additionally, for those hunting for error coins, the doubled die effect is subtle but unmistakable when compared to a standard penny. The letters or numbers may appear shadowed or slightly doubled. Magnification and careful observation are your best tools. There are also some fun and surprising details about the 1978 no-mint mark penny. For example, this penny comes from an era before modern chemical treatments, meaning that each coin has its own unique aging pattern. Some pennies show a beautiful reddish-brown patina, while others retain a bright copper shine. Coin collectors also enjoy studying the wear patterns, which can tell a story of a penny's journey through pockets, cash registers, and coin jars over decades. Another interesting fact is that because Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark, many people who grew up in the late 1970s might have unknowingly held these coins in their hands countless times, unaware of the small collectible history they carried. Collectors love the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny for its accessibility and historical charm. Unlike rarer coins that require deep pockets or lucky finds, this penny is often found in circulation, making it approachable for new collectors. Its connection to Abraham Lincoln and the iconic Lincoln Memorial adds a sense of historical weight, while the potential for hidden errors or variations adds an element of excitement. Many collectors enjoy the hunt itself, examining rolls of pennies, seeking out that one coin that stands out from the rest. It's a reminder that history can hide in plain sight, and that even small, everyday objects can hold stories worth exploring. Today, the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny remains a symbol of both American history and the thrill of coin collecting. It represents an era when pennies were predominantly copper, when mint marks were used sparingly, and when subtle variations could turn a simple coin into a prized collectible. For those who study coins, it is a gentle reminder that value isn't always obvious at first glance, and that curiosity can uncover hidden treasures in the most ordinary places. So next time you find a penny on the street or dig through a jar of coins at home, consider the stories each coin could tell. Could one of them be a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, quietly holding a secret, waiting to be discovered? The hunt continues, and with each coin examined, a new story emerges, inviting collectors and curious minds alike to explore the past, one penny at a time. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of Americans pass by every day, yet only a few truly notice its hidden story. One small penny from 1982 with a D mint mark might just be one of those coins that could surprise you with its rarity and value. What makes this ordinary-looking Lincoln penny so intriguing, and why are collectors willing to pay serious money for it? The coin we're talking about is the 1982 Lincoln penny, struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by that small D just below the date. At first glance, it looks like any other penny you might find in your pocket, your purse, or even on the street. But there's more to this coin than meets the eye. It represents a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage history, a transition in metal composition that collectors still study closely today. To understand why the 1982 D Lincoln penny is so significant, we need to look back at the early 1980s. For decades, Lincoln pennies were made almost entirely of copper, about 95% copper with 5% zinc. But by 1982, the price of copper had skyrocketed. Minting pennies with nearly pure copper had become too expensive. The U.S. Mint faced a challenge: how to continue producing pennies without costing more than their face value. Their solution was to switch the composition from mostly copper to mostly zinc, with only a thin copper coating. This change wasn't just a simple material swap. It marked the beginning of a whole new era in coin collecting. 1982 became a transitional year. Some pennies were still minted in the old copper style, while others were made with the new zinc core. This means that a single year of pennies actually contains two completely different coins. To make matters more interesting, both copper and zinc versions were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, creating four distinct variations. For collectors, this is a treasure trove of possibilities, and it's why the 1982 D penny stands out. Let's talk about the coin itself. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln, as it has since 1909, commemorating the centennial of his birth. The reverse, with the familiar Lincoln Memorial, had been standard since 1959. What sets the 1982 D apart is not the design, which is familiar and comforting, but the composition. Some coins from this year weigh 3.11 grams. These are the copper pennies. Others weigh only 2.5 grams, the new zinc pennies. That difference is subtle but critical for identifying rare specimens. Errors and unusual strikes also appear in this year, which further enhances the coin's appeal. Some 1982 D pennies were struck with slightly off-center dies or variations in the copper plating. A few were even minted with doubled dies, causing a slight shadow effect around the letters and numbers. While these errors might seem minor, collectors know that even a tiny mistake can increase a coin's value dramatically. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable? The key is the copper version. By 1982, copper pennies were becoming scarce. Most circulating pennies today are zinc, and few people realize that keeping a 1982 copper penny could one day be worthwhile. The Denver Mint produced fewer copper pennies than zinc, making the 1982 D copper Lincoln penny a true collectible. Condition matters a lot too. Coins in mint or uncirculated condition, with no scratches, wear, or discoloration, are significantly more valuable. Even circulated pennies can attract collector interest if they are copper and show minimal signs of wear. Examples from real auctions highlight just how sought after this coin can be. In recent years, 1982D copper pennies in high grade have sold for hundreds of dollars, with exceptional specimens fetching well over $1,000. While that might seem astonishing for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, it's the rarity and historical significance that drives these prices. Meanwhile, zinc versions, which are far more common, rarely fetch more than $1 or $2 in circulation. Knowing the difference can be life-changing for someone who happens to have held onto the right coin without realizing it. Identifying a genuine 1982D copper penny is easier than you might think. The first step is weight. Copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams. You can check this with a small digital scale. The second method is a simple sound test. Copper produces a higher-pitched ring when dropped on a hard surface, whereas zinc sounds duller. Finally, professional grading is the safest way to confirm authenticity and condition. Collectors often rely on services that certify coins, giving them confidence in both quality and value. There are also surprising and fun details about this coin. For instance, the transition from copper to zinc wasn't immediately obvious to the public. Many people continued using pennies without noticing the subtle change in weight and feel. Some collectors even discovered years later that coins in their collections were far more valuable than they had imagined. Another interesting fact is that this penny represents a unique overlap in history. Both the old and new coin compositions existed side by side for a short time, making 1982 a landmark year in U.S. coinage. Collectors love the 1982D Lincoln penny today for several reasons. First, it represents a tangible piece of history, a snapshot of a time when the U.S. Mint had to adapt to rising metal costs. Second, it appeals to both beginner and advanced collectors because it's relatively easy to identify, and yet offers the thrill of finding a rare specimen in everyday circulation. Finally, it's a coin that tells a story of Abraham Lincoln, of changing economies, and of a subtle shift that has created a lasting legacy for those who study and treasure American coins. Even beyond the monetary value, the 1982D Lincoln penny sparks curiosity. Every coin has a story to tell, and this one reminds us that even something as ordinary as a penny can carry secrets waiting to be uncovered. Whether you're a casual collector or a serious numismatist, the thrill of finding a copper 1982D penny in your change or inherited collection is undeniable. It's a reminder that history is all around us, sometimes hiding in plain sight. Next time you reach into your pocket for a penny, take a moment to look closely. That small coin could be more than loose change. It could be a rare gem from a pivotal year in American coinage history. The 1982D Lincoln penny is more than metal. It's a bridge between eras, a collector's treasure, and a story still being told today. The question is, could you be holding one without even knowing it? Even after decades, this penny continues to fascinate and inspire. Its rarity, historical significance, and unique features ensure that collectors will seek it for generations to come. And while most of us see pennies every day, only a few will ever recognize the hidden value of this small, unassuming coin. Could your change jar be hiding a piece of history worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars? That's the mystery and allure of the 1982D Lincoln penny, a coin that proves even the smallest things can hold extraordinary stories. This is more than a penny. It's a story waiting to be discovered, a link to the past, and a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in the simplest places. Keep an eye out, because the next coin you hold might just change your perspective, and perhaps even your fortune. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that almost everyone has seen but hardly anyone truly notices. A coin so ordinary that it slips through pockets, jars, and drawers every day. Yet under the right eye, it could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins in American history, the 1984 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. What makes this tiny copper disc so intriguing, and why are collectors willing to pay serious money for it? Stay with us because the story behind this penny is more exciting than you might think. The 1984 Lincoln penny is part of America's longest-running coin series, the Lincoln cent, which has been in circulation since 1909. Featuring the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, on its obverse, the penny has become an icon of everyday American currency. But not all pennies are created equal. The 1984 no mint mark penny is one that quietly stands out, and while it may look ordinary at first glance, it carries a history and rarity that collectors love. So why 1984? That year, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies, but most were stamped with a small letter indicating where they were made. A D signified Denver, an S marked San Francisco, and coins without any letter were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of pennies for circulation, but some of these coins were produced in such a way that they didn't carry the mint mark. And it's this detail, the absence of a mint mark, that turns an otherwise common coin into a collectible. The 1984 penny is composed primarily of copper, with a small percentage of zinc. Its design continues the tradition of the Lincoln cent. Lincoln's profile faces right on the obverse, with the word Liberty etched along the left side and the year 1984 to the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial graces the coin, symbolizing both American history and continuity. While the design might seem standard, small variations in the die or minor production errors can make a specific coin extraordinarily valuable. Collectors especially look for pennies that were struck off-center, have doubled dies, or exhibit unusual markings, all of which can significantly increase their worth. But what truly makes the 1984 no mint mark penny rare? Unlike coins from smaller mints, the Philadelphia pennies were produced in massive quantities, so most coins from this year are common. However, when you find a well-preserved 1984 penny with no mint mark, especially one with full, crisp details and little wear, it becomes a sought-after piece for collectors. High-grade specimens can fetch prices far above their face value. The rarity isn't about an error or a mistake in most cases. It's about condition, authenticity, and the subtle details that set a coin apart from the billions that pass through cash registers across the country. To understand its real-world value, consider some examples from collectors and auctions. While a worn 1984 penny might still be worth just a few cents, uncirculated or proof-quality coins have sold at auction for hundreds of dollars. Some extremely high-grade specimens have reached over $500, depending on their condition and provenance. These figures might seem surprising for a coin minted less than 50 years ago, but the market for rare Lincoln cents is strong, driven by both nostalgia and the hunt for coins that stand out in collections. So how can you identify a genuine 1984 no mint mark penny? First, check the area near the date on the obverse side of the coin. If there is no small letter indicating a mint, that's your first clue. Next, examine the details of Lincoln's profile. The lines of his hair, the contours of his cheek and jaw, and the letters in Liberty should all be sharp and clear. Many counterfeit coins exist, so authenticity matters. Coins that are unusually light, poorly struck, or show inconsistent details are likely not genuine. When in doubt, professional grading services can verify the coin's authenticity, assigning a grade that reflects its condition and ultimately its market value. Beyond its rarity and potential value, the 1984 no mint mark penny carries some surprising details. For instance, while most pennies from the 1980s were mass-produced with little fanfare, a small number of coins were affected by minor die variations that today make them highly collectible. These variations can include tiny doubling of letters, faint lines across the field, or slight misalignments in the strike. Even subtle differences in color, ranging from bright copper to darker reddish-brown, can affect a coin's appeal to collectors. These details show that even a coin as seemingly ordinary as a penny can hide a rich story, waiting to be discovered by someone paying close attention. Collectors love the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny for several reasons. First, it connects them to everyday American history. Lincoln has graced pennies for over a century, and owning a coin from a specific year feels like holding a piece of the past. Second, the coin represents a challenge. Finding one in excellent condition, especially without a mint mark, requires patience, careful observation, and a bit of luck. And third, there is the thrill of potential value. Unlike common coins that sit in jars, a high-grade 1984 penny can command hundreds of dollars, turning a humble piece of metal into a prized collectible. The story of the 1984 Lincoln penny is more than just numbers and dates. It's about the continuity of American currency, the subtle artistry of coin design, and the thrill of discovery for collectors. Next time you rummage through a jar of change, take a moment to look at the pennies. Among the countless coins that pass through your hands, one might hold the key to a remarkable story, a hidden treasure waiting to be found. So as you go about your day, remember this. The next time you spot a 1984 penny with no mint mark, it might not just be a coin. It could be a rare, valuable piece of history, quietly resting in your palm, ready to connect you with the past and perhaps even change the future. Keep your eyes open, examine every detail, and who knows, your ordinary coin could be the extraordinary find that collectors dream about. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry remarkable stories. Ordinary at first glance, but extraordinary when you know what to look for. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. Hidden treasures are everywhere, waiting for those who are curious enough to find them. The next time you hold a penny, ask yourself, could this simple piece of metal be hiding a secret? It's a question every collector knows is worth asking, and it might just lead to your most exciting discovery yet. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people pass by every day, yet only a few truly notice. Now imagine that this ordinary coin could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars if you know what to look for. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating pennies in modern U.S. history, the 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like any other penny, but its story and value are anything but ordinary. The 1994 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of coins featuring Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. These pennies, first introduced in 1909 to mark Lincoln's 100th birthday, have become one of the most collected coins in America. Over the decades, minor design changes and minting quirks have made certain years highly sought after, and 1994 is one of those surprising years. Normally, pennies carry a small letter near the date to indicate where they were minted, either a D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or nothing at all for Philadelphia. The 1994 no mint mark penny, officially minted in Philadelphia, is unassuming, but collectors have discovered that it carries hidden rarity under certain circumstances. The story of the 1994 penny begins in a period of transition for the U.S. Mint. In the early 1990s, the minting process was modern, highly automated, and focused on efficiency. Despite this, occasional errors slipped through the cracks, and some of these coins became instant collector's treasures. Unlike older coins, whose value often comes from age or metal content, the 1994 penny's allure is linked to subtle errors, variations, and the sheer curiosity of collectors who search for unusual features that set it apart. The coin itself is a familiar sight, 1 cent in copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams and measuring 19 millimeters in diameter. The obverse shows Abraham Lincoln in profile, a design that has graced U.S. pennies for over a century. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of American history and pride. While this may seem ordinary, the details tell a different story. A small number of 1994 pennies exhibit striking anomalies. Some show doubling of the date or minting errors known as die cracks, tiny raised lines that run across the coin's surface, often invisible to the casual observer but highly prized by collectors. Others might have off-center strikes, where the image is shifted slightly from its usual position, giving each coin a unique personality. What truly makes the 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny rare is the combination of scarcity and discovery. While millions of pennies were minted that year, very few collectors have reported finding the error coins or coins with distinctive die markers. Because most people spend their pennies without a second thought, finding one of these anomalies feels like stumbling onto a hidden treasure in your pocket change. For coin enthusiasts, this mix of accessibility and secrecy is irresistible. Real-world examples show just how much collectors value these coins. At small auctions, 1994 Lincoln pennies with minor doubling or die cracks have sold for several $100s, a remarkable increase compared to face value. Some examples, especially those in pristine, uncirculated condition, have reached prices above $1,000 when sold privately or at numismatic shows. One particularly notable sale involved a coin with a double date and subtle die crack, which fetched over $1,500. These numbers might seem extraordinary for a penny most people think of as everyday change. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity and condition drive value far more than size or face denomination. Identifying a real 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is easier than you might think if you know what to look for, but it does require careful observation. First, examine the date closely. On error coins, the numbers may appear thicker, doubled, or slightly misaligned. Look for die cracks, tiny raised lines, or irregularities on the coin's surface, especially near Lincoln's face or the edges of the memorial. Off-center strikes are another indicator. These coins will have part of the design missing or shifted. If in doubt, consulting a magnifying glass or a professional coin dealer is always a smart move, as they can confirm authenticity and help determine whether a coin is a standard issue or a rare find. Beyond its potential value, the 1994 penny has surprising and fun details that make it interesting to collectors. Unlike older pennies made entirely of copper, the 1994 penny is mostly zinc with a thin copper plating. This change, made in 1982 to save on production costs, means that the coin reacts differently to wear and environmental factors. Some coins develop a soft reddish sheen over time, while others may darken to a rich brown, giving each coin a personality of its own. Another fun fact is that, despite being minted in the era of highly automated machinery, the U.S. Mint still experienced small errors that today feel almost like a wink from history. A reminder that even in modern times, perfection is rare. Collectors love the 1994 Lincoln penny, not just for its potential monetary value, but for the thrill of discovery. It represents a bridge between everyday life and hidden treasures, showing that even the most ordinary objects can carry extraordinary stories. For enthusiasts, finding one of these pennies in circulation is like uncovering a secret history, a tangible link to the minting processes, human oversight, and chance events of a specific year. The coin embodies curiosity, patience, and the excitement of numismatics, all wrapped up in a piece of copper-plated zinc no bigger than a fingertip. As we look at this humble coin, it becomes clear that its value extends beyond dollars. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny invites us to slow down, examine what we usually overlook, and consider the small but remarkable histories hidden in plain sight. It's a reminder that treasures are not always buried under layers of earth. Sometimes they pass through our hands every day, disguised as ordinary change. Whether you are a seasoned collector, a casual enthusiast, or simply someone curious about hidden gems, this penny is a symbol of discovery, rarity, and the stories coins can tell. So the next time you reach into your pocket or find a coin on the sidewalk, remember the 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Among the millions, a rare few might hold secrets that could surprise you. The question is, could the next coin you pick up be more than just a penny? Could it be a piece of modern history waiting to be uncovered? Only careful eyes and a little curiosity will reveal the answer. The story of this coin doesn't end with its minting. It continues every time someone examines it, studies it, and dreams of the hidden treasures that might still be out there. In a world filled with mass-produced objects, the 1994 no mint mark Lincoln penny reminds us that rarity is not always obvious, and sometimes the smallest items can hold the biggest mysteries.